SEC have seriously held XRP back. In this video, we're going to dive down into the chart and review exactly what's been going on with the price action of XRP during this bull run. As we get into it, if you do find it useful and informative, hit the like button, really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with all that said, done, and out of the way, let's jump on down to the charts and take a look at the XRP data. Okay guys, so we're just going to start things off with this weekly chart, right? And obviously we can see that good progress had kind of started along with pretty much the most of the crypto space, right? We had good traction at the beginning of the bull run. This was basically triggered from the low areas that we had in March of 2020, right? We started with good traction as we went into August. Now, August is pretty much the trigger for the second wave correction that many altcoins had. They kind of pulled back a little bit, stabilized around here, and then basically got into the new year. They really took off. Now, for XRP, there was a bit of a push towards the end of November, beginning of December. This was around the snapshot for Flare. And then basically 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗡𝗪 dropped the lawsuit, right? And we basically retraced all the way down here. We then obviously surged up in the new year, peaking up in May. Now this is significantly reduced. Okay, this should have been significantly higher than it actually was, but obviously with all the uncertainty around the Ripple versus the SEC lawsuit, and of course the fact that exchanges just delisted XRP, right? So purchasing XRP from a retail investor perspective was more difficult in the US than it has been previously, right? Seriously held back. Not only did the SEC cause billions of dollars of damage to retail investors, but they also hindered the ability for retail investors to get back in, specifically over in the US. Now, obviously in the UK where I am, it hasn't been a problem. I was able to buy up XRP at discounted rates, specifically around here. And me and Chris did that, right? We were continuing to buy up the fear that was available. But, other than, places that are regulatory friendly towards Ripple and XRP and, the US, as quite a significant player, has obviously been affected by this in quite a negative way, along with the rest of the world, because the price appreciation has been hindered. It's been held back significantly. And I want to prove this to you in several different ways, right? First of all, what we'll do is we'll take hold of our price appreciation from the beginning of the bull run, right? Basically, during that first leg, we had 220%. Okay, so 220% up here. Now, if we compare this just to Ethereum, during that same period here, obviously wave two was this little blip right here in the radar. If we actually go ahead and take it from the low areas of March 2020 again up to that wave one, we can see it was 473%. If we go over to Bitcoin, we take a look at Bitcoin's kind of first step into the bull run here. We'll take a look from this low area to the higher area. It was 338, right? So for XRP to be down here at 220. It's interesting. It's not the worst, but it's okay. It's pretty much on par with the others, right? But then obviously things got interesting when we start thinking about, okay, well, where did it actually go by the peak of May, right? When basically when Bitcoin fell from 65k down to the low areas of 28k, right? Well, actually for XRP, moving from the low area of March 2020 up to the high area just up here in April, we can see that it was 1,835, right? So just basically 1,800%. Now, when we come over to Ethereum, what did Ethereum have in that same time period? Well, 5,100%. Now, Ethereum was not a good performer for the portfolio, or just generally not a good performer overall, right? It's a safer bet, sure. Even Bitcoin, right, it went up 1,600%, right? But when it comes to these higher value altcoins, it's really hard to push those prices. But lower value altcoins, such as XRP, if we take a look at Cardano, for example, that went up 14,000%. We take a look at VeChain, that went up 18,000%. We take a look at OneHarmony, 18,000%. We take a look at Anchor, 34,000%. We take a look at Matic, 42,000%. Can't really look at DOT, but we can try, I guess. If we take DOT from the low areas that it had in August of 2020, so pretty much from where it launched, up to the high that it had during that time period, again, this was only 4,200%, but really difficult to say because it just launched. We take a look at some other altcoins that have been around for a while. Let's take a look at Chainlink, for example. During that area of March through to the peak there, 3,800. So for XRP, a significantly low and relatively cheap altcoin went from 17 cent up to the high of basically just short of $2. But that should have been significantly higher, based on the fact that Cardano went from very, very low numbers as well. You know, a fraction of basically 1 point. Let me actually get the low point for you guys. 1.8 cent all the way up to a high point of $2. You know, 14,000%, right? Were had. Now, XRP has been seriously held back just by reviewing other very similar altcoins in terms of their prices at the time. When we actually take a look at the higher value ones, yep, sure, you can see Ethereum still outperformed XRP massively, and it was significantly higher value. Bitcoin is understandable that it was only 1,600%, and you can understand why Polkadot was also a very similar position of only 2,400, but that's because it was relatively new and only just getting some traction. But again, higher value altcoins all round. So ultimately, XRP has seriously underperformed against its competitors in the space. And this is specifically down to the SEC and the nonsense of their lawsuit. So to only see 1,835% in such a significant time period is very disappointing. And ultimately, you know, I think this lawsuit, when it actually does come to a close, we're going to see this built up demand, this push for XRP, and it is going to absolutely moon. Because I think we should have performed much better, potentially even setting an all-time high on that journey of that wave 3, or what should have been wave 3. Because again, like many of these other altcoins, right, take a look at Ethereum here. If I just bring this down a little bit, we can of course see that it's made up of 5 waves. We can take a look at Bitcoin. We can see that it's made up of 5 waves. We take a look at Cardano. It's made up of 5 waves. VeChain, made up of 5 waves. One Harmony, made up of 5 waves. Anchor, made up of 5 waves, right? But XRP, no. No, XRP isn't made up of 5 waves. And this is because moving from 1 to 2 was fine. Moving up to what should have been 3 would have been fine. But we didn't get the traction. We didn't get the traction because 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧 invalidated that. He basically pulled us right the way down lower than wave 1 and lower than wave 2. Okay, we should have been significantly higher. Wave 3 should have been up here. Wave 4 should have been over here. And then obviously wave 5 could have been predicted out quite nicely using a trend-based fib. So when we actually now take a look at the performance of XRP, let me actually first of all do this. Let me just grab hold of what should have been the low of wave 2, the high of wave 3, the low of wave 4. We should have been taking a look at some projections here of around $8 for this next leg to the upside, right? Instead, where are we actually sat? Well, if we jump down into, let me just remove this and remove this, we jump down into our daily. Well, based on the daily chart now, we're projecting out, you know, $6.68 as a best case scenario, and we're still expecting to pull back in the next few days. So ultimately, you know, 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧 and the SEC have definitely done a lot of damage to XRP in this bull cycle. It's definitely limited the kind of outcome of where we think it's likely to go. With that being said, though, if we do actually see settlement and we do see this lawsuit, you know, get closed one way or another, the outcome is completely irrelevant. I do anticipate a huge built-up demand for XRP that could potentially see this thing absolutely moon. Not to the crazy numbers like 589 or anything like that, but in the sense of the built-up demand could take this up to over $15, okay, just short of that $16 range. And again, from the current price, that would only represent 1,284%, so significantly lower than many of the other altcoins in the space. So we could theoretically completely blast through that. You know, taking a look at our current position and assuming that actually, you know, if that built up demand for a couple of 1,000% gains do exist, then, you know, where would that actually put us, right? Because if we were to actually think about maybe moving up 2,000%, which I think is very possible when you look at things like Kick Interactive, that does put this thing out there towards $24. So again, interesting times could be lay ahead if, of course, the SEC and Ripple decide to actually get this thing put to bed, right? Because it doesn't matter, in my opinion, whether it's a win-lose settlement. It's completely irrelevant. What really matters is that there is no law suit. There is no action against Ripple that is hindering you know, XRP sales. Now, the main caveat to this is that it needs to get listed again, okay? It needs to be on exchanges, and basically we need to have it relatively fluid. Now, the thing with Kick Interactive is that it was classed as security. But basically, they just had to register the sales of the security. There was no other caveats put on. Now, we have to obviously watch out for anything like that might get added to XRP. But even if it was, classed as XRP as a security, which I don't think it would be. I think this is literally just going after the money that Ripple have, right? They're just trying to bankroll the SEC a little bit. But basically, I think it won't be classed as security. I think it doesn't meet the actual requirements to be called a security. So I don't think that's going to happen. And therefore, when it does come to an end, and they maybe slap her on the wrist, pay a fine, whatever, and they move on, it won't be classed as security. The exchanges will be able to relist it, and the built-up demand should come in and trickle or trick a huge market surge for XRP. Now, the big issue here is it's got to happen in the bull run, right? And the bull run's fast approaching the end, okay? And I know it's not a subject that people like to talk about, but, ultimately we are talking roughly Q1 of 2022, only a few months away, that this lawsuit, the bull run is likely to finish. And what we really want to do is actually have the lawsuit kind of put to bed, finished one way or another before the end of the bull run, because then you can really see the advantage get taken here, FOMO really kick in, and we could see XRP absolutely surge. Now, it's quite disappointing to see the performance of XRP so far, specifically on the portfolio, right? Because we have altcoins in here that have done 14,000, 18,000, 18,000, 34,000, 42,000, right? And, a whole host of others that have been performing incredibly well. And for XRP to be performing the way that it has done is very, very disappointing. And again, I'm happy to hold XRP. I'll quite happily invest in it. I think the use case of XRP is something that is very much needed. Whether or not that is XRP that actually ends up taking the mantle is the question. I think it will be, because it's so heavily already integrated or has so many connections with the right people in the space. It's very unlikely that another player is going to make as many connections as XRP, as in, all those deals behind closed doors, the amount of people who are friendly to Ripple within the banking sector, shall we say. I think ultimately XRP is very well positioned, and it's going to be really hard for a competitor to kind of match that kind of level of integration or relationship building that Ripple currently has out there. So I do anticipate that XRP is going to be incredibly well. And this particular cycle has been very, very disappointing. It's been held back. We can see that within the data, and XRP has been heavily manipulated. The good news is, though, that even during this bull run, we have made gains. The portfolio is in profit with XRP. I will obviously exit out during this bull run and accumulate more in the bear market. The most interesting part, of course, is 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗂𝗪 obviously selling his bags. Is on forecast to kind of be completely out, and eventually he will be completely out of XRP, and obviously then he won't be damaging the markets either. And then once the SEC finishes this lawsuit with Ripple, that comes to an end. I think going forward, XRP is going to be in a much better position than it has been previously. So overall, I'm pretty confident longer term with XRP. Very disappointed to see the performance and the manipulation so far with it, but ultimately I'm still very happy with my investment with XRP. Just disappointed generally by the US and their approach to damaging retail investors as a whole. With that being said, though, good traction could be had with that lawsuit coming to an end. Guys, I'm going to leave this video there, but if you have found it useful and informative, and maybe even entertaining at times, then hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.